Let me guess. You've tried the 50-30-20 rule, and somehow it still feels like you're falling behind. Here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud. The most popular budgeting rule in the world was designed for an economy that no longer exists. In 2026, rent isn't 25% of your income anymore. Groceries don't politely stay within reasonable limits. And saving 20% sounds responsible until inflation quietly eats half of it. So if you're sitting there wondering why you're doing everything right but still feel broke, you're not bad with money. You're using an outdated system. Today I want to show you a modern budgeting framework built for 2026 realities. One that works with high housing costs, automates wealth building, and actually helps you resist lifestyle inflation instead of pretending it doesn't exist. It's called the 30-30-30-10 rule. And yes, it might completely replace 50-30-20 for you. But here's what nobody tells you. Imagine this for a second. You're 28 years old, making $55,000 a year. That's about $3,400 a month after tax. You open a budgeting video and here, just spend 50% on needs, 30% on wants, and save 20%. Sounds simple, right? Until reality hits. Your rent alone is $1,400. Add utilities, internet, groceries, transportation, insurance, and suddenly your needs are 65% of your income. Now you feel like you failed, even though you didn't. This isn't rare. It's normal. More than half of renters under 35 are considered rent burdened, meaning they spend over 30% of their income on housing. And housing and food inflation have outpaced wage growth for years. So when traditional budgeting advice tells you to just cut back, it feels insulting because there's nothing left to cut. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most people aren't failing at budgeting. They're failing at budgeting with a system that ignores modern costs. So let's break this down and rebuild your budget from the ground up. First, let's talk about why the 50-30-20 rule quietly breaks in 2026. That rule assumes three things. Housing stays affordable, savings happen manually, and lifestyle inflation is easy to control. None of those are true anymore. The biggest flaw is the 50% needs category. Decades ago, renters spent closer to 20% of income on housing. Today, that number is closer to 35 or 40% in many cities. So what happens when rent alone eats your entire needs category? You cheat the budget. You mentally move expenses around. You stop tracking altogether. And once that happens, budgeting stops being a tool and becomes a guilt machine. The 50-30-20 rule is like a suit tailored in the 1990s. It looked great back then. But try wearing it today and everything feels tight and unrealistic. The rule didn't fail because you're irresponsible. It failed because the economy changed and the rule didn't. So instead of forcing your life into an outdated box, what if the box itself changed? That's where the 30-30-30-10 rule comes in. The first 30% is housing and core survival costs, rent or mortgage, utilities, internet, basic groceries, transportation to work, not luxuries, not subscriptions, just staying alive and functional. This percentage is intentionally higher than traditional advice because pretending housing should be cheaper doesn't make it cheaper. Rents have increased dramatically since 2019 while wages haven't kept up. But this is not permission to overspend. It's a hard ceiling, not a suggestion. If your housing costs are already 40%, that's a signal, not a failure. It may mean roommates, relocation, or a temporary compromise. Think of this 30% as the foundation of a house. If it cracks, everything above it becomes unstable. Once housing is clearly defined and capped, something powerful happens. You stop guessing where your money is going. That brings us to the second 30%. This is where the system truly changes the game. The second 30% is automated wealth building, not saving what's left over, not hoping you invest at the end of the month. This money moves first. People who automate investing save multiple times more than those who rely on manual decisions, not because they earn more, but because the choice is removed. Instead of asking, can I afford to invest? The system asks, what kind of life do I want in 10 years? This includes retirement accounts, index funds, long-term investments, and even high-yield savings if you're still building stability. Let's make it real. If you earn $4,000 a month, 30% is $1,200. That might sound intense until you break it down. 400 into retirement, 500 into index funds, 300 into savings or transition buffer. And here's the key. You never see the money. It moves automatically right after payday. Just like brushing your teeth, it's non-negotiable. When investing happens first, lifestyle inflation never gets a chance. Which brings us to the third 30%. This is the lifestyle inflation defense. This 30% is guilt-free spending with boundaries. Dining out, travel, clothes, subscriptions, fun money. Most budgets fail because they're too restrictive. You try to cut back, burn out, and then binge spend. This system expects you to enjoy your money, but it caps it. Lifestyle upgrades give temporary happiness. What feels exciting today becomes normal tomorrow. So instead of letting your lifestyle grow endlessly with every raise, the system locks it at 30%. If your income goes up, your investments grow first, not your spending. Two people making the same salary can end up with completely different net worths. One lets lifestyle creep eat every dollar. The other builds invisible wealth quietly, and you never feel deprived because fun is planned. Now there's one final piece, the 10%. This is aggressive debt elimination. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, anything charging interest. Debt is a leak in your financial boat. You can earn more and save more, but interest keeps draining you. Average credit card interest is now over 20%. A $5,000 balance can cost over $1,000 a year in interest alone. This 10% is about focus and speed, not minimum payments, not spreading things thin, but attacking balances deliberately. Once debt is gone, cash flow opens up, stress drops, and your budget feels lighter. That 10% doesn't disappear. It gets reassigned to investing and freedom. Now, let's turn this framework into action. First, calculate your real monthly take-home pay, not your salary. The amount that actually hits your account. Divide it into 30% housing, 30% investing, 30% lifestyle, and 10% debt. This takes 10 minutes. Just honesty and a calculator. Second, automate the investing. Set transfers to move money within 24 hours of payday. This step matters more than anything else. Third, lock the lifestyle cap. Create one account for lifestyle spending. Transfer exactly 30% into it each month. When it's empty, it's empty. Fourth, attack debt with precision. List balances and interest rates. Choose a strategy and commit. Most people using the system eliminate consumer debt within 18 to 36 months. Finally, rebalance every 6 months. Raises go to investments, not lifestyle. Let's compare this to the old system. 50-30-20 was built for lower housing costs and manual saving. It breaks under inflation and encourages lifestyle creep. 30-30-30-10 is built for high-cost environments. It automates wealth creation, caps lifestyle inflation, and eliminates debt aggressively. One preserves balance. The other builds momentum. And in 2026, momentum wins. Here's the bottom line. You don't need another budgeting app. You don't need more discipline. You don't need to feel guilty for enjoying your life. You need a system that reflects reality. The 30-30-30-10 rule is not about restriction. It's about alignment between your money and your future. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more modern money frameworks that actually work. In the next video, I'll show you how to build your first $100,000 using automated systems, even on an average income. Because budgeting isn't about surviving the month. It's about owning the decade.